impossible, but certain things are high. Nothing is impossible, but certain things are highly improbable. Don't think I'll meet your kind again, not in this lifetime. That's got some.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Bradley's House. I'm your co-host, Jared Orr. She is the executive director of the Noel Family Foundation, Bradley's sister, and our host, Kelly Noel. Kelly, how you doing today?
I am fantastic. How are you doing, Jarrett?
I'll tell you what, I'm better than I was and nowhere near as good as I'm going to be because once again, you've lined up an amazing house guest for us for today's show.
I have. I am really fortunate to know some amazing people. I'm not going to lie. I feel really, really blessed. And I'm super excited about our guest today. Can I just go ahead and introduce him?
Let's get to it.
Okay. So I'm really excited about our guest. And it was somebody that I knew right from the start when we started this podcast that he was going to be one of our guests soon. He's someone I admire as a musician, and I respect so much because of what he's come through and his willingness to be open and share his struggle and also his victories with people. I think he gives a lot of people hope and encouragement through his story and also through his music. And I'm really excited to have on with us today my friend and wonderful musician, Kyle Smith. Welcome, Kyle.
What's going on, Kelly? How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for being on with us tonight.
You know what? I'm extremely grateful to be here, and that was a hell of an intro that you had there. I appreciate you.
I was trying to keep it like not get too emotional. I always get so emotional. Like I was saying on the last episode, we've had all of the people that I really like on the episodes so far. There hasn't been anybody that I don't know and love. So I feel like I gush about each guest and when I'm doing the intros, but it really is because these are some of my most favorite people. So I'm really stoked to have you on.
Well, we feel the same way about you, so.
Thank you. I have to say, from the very first time that I met Kyle, which was at one of our Bradley's House benefit shows a couple of years ago, right? I guess it's been about 2.5 years now, maybe. And you came up to the merch table, the booth that we had there, and introduced yourself, and I introduced you to my dad, and you got a Bradley's House hat. And I think there have only been like 2 or 3 times in those last 2.5 years that I've ever seen you or a photograph of you where you didn't have a Bradley's House hat on. So you're like a walking billboard for us, and I should appreciate that.
They just fit really nice and they look amazing, that's all.
So there's our merch commercial for Bradley's
I was going to say,
House.
what an early, awesome plug.
I probably haven't taken that hat off in it's probably been like 3 years.
I do keep giving him new ones for people that think, wow, I can't believe she's making him wear dirty old hats.
Yeah,
I do give him new ones,
sorry.
but every once in a while he makes me super irritated and he buys one on the website. But you know, he does such a great job of promoting the foundation by wearing that all the time. I feel like, you know, it's the least I can do to give him a hat every now and then.
When we were setting up to get this show going, Kelly, one of the things that you mentioned was you don't have a lot of time. And that was one of your fears. And I said, don't worry about it. I'll take care of everything. I'll do as much work into this as I possibly can. So as we were getting going, I started thinking who are going to be some awesome guests. And you and I were talking. And of course, Kyle's name came up. And I said, I'm going to reach out to Kyle. And I told Kelly I would do a lot of the legwork here. So I sent him a message probably at midnight one night and said, hey man, we'd love to have you on the show. And he responded back immediately and said, yeah, man, let's go right now. Let's do this. So
That's Kyle.
he was ready right then. So I knew that we were going to have him, and I'm super excited about it. And like you said, his story is amazing. Kyle, I probably noticed you on Facebook probably about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, something like that. And, somebody had shared you, I think, in one of the Slightly Stupid groups. And I was like, yeah, man, I get it. Good looking kid with a guitar. It's, they're a dime a dozen. And, I clicked on it. And, I think True Love might've been the first song that I picked up of yours, and it started and I went, holy shit. And ever since then, I've been a huge fan. So super excited to have you on the show, man. Thank you for doing this.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate that, man. That means a lot.
Yeah, no. Now, the main reason that we're here is to spread awareness through the foundation. And how we're doing that is with the music and the influences and the friends that Brad and Kelly and the family have made throughout the years, and just telling some stories and sharing some inspiration. Before we get too much into the music, Kyle, take a little bit of time to give us a little bit of the background of how you got to where you are today.
Okay. Just music in general, just life.
No, man, the whole story. Like I said, we're
We
here.
want
We're
it all.
sharing. Yeah, we're sharing inspiration for, for people that are in recovery or
All
hoping to
right.
make that jump, and people that love music. And you really got both ends of that story covered. So let's get into it, man.
Cool. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess just a little bit about me. I was born, no, I'm just kidding. We're not going to do the whole I was born in thing. So I guess I kind of grew up as like any, most kids in like Southern California. I grew up here in Camarillo, which is like right over here by Ventura, Oxnard, that area. Really, really nice town. I grew up skateboarding, listening to, punk rock, reggae, the whole 9 yards. And, as far as like my recovery, as a kid, there was always something wrong or like some kind of void I was trying to fill or something that was missing from me. You know what I mean? And you know, um, I didn't grow up with the most perfect family. There was, some crazy shit going on, but for the most part, I always had this feeling of like just not liking how I felt, man. And as a kid, that's one of the main things I remember is just like always being like emotional and like, excuse my language, but like fucked up in the head. There was only a few things that solved that for me. And when I was really young, like 12, 13, at first, I hate to be so cliche, but at first it was just smoking a lot of weed and then drinking and then cigarettes. And, freshman year rolled around and it was pills and all that stuff. And to keep it brief and kind of summarize, like, when I was 14, 15, I started getting into some harder stuff and I really just like kind of spiraled, man, like the second I got into like high school, and from that moment on, I'd always played guitar and I had always sang, but like once I got like too deep into the drugs, like it was just, I don't know. I guess I just got like, I kind of put the guitar aside, man, and I was just like so tore back that I would only do it like when I was panhandling just to get like money for dope. So,
Wow.
yeah. So when I was like 17 was when I had moved to Long Beach, and then I was basically panhandling like in downtown or in Belmont Shore, like Second Street every day,
Yeah.
just like withdrawing and just doing whatever the hell I could, just to be able to get well for a little bit and then make it through another day. And when I was 20, I mean, if you guys want the whole story, I could tell you about kind of what happened and then how I
We
got to where
do.
I am.
We
Okay.
want it all, Kyle.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, basically after years of like my parents wondering where I was, after doing them dirty, after just kind of every like 6 months I'd show up for a night and then leave with money and just really really foul shit. My mom caught me slipping in front of Rite Aid in Long Beach, and
Wow.
she like didn't recognize me, and I knew it was her, but she didn't even like recognize me because I looked so different. I weighed like 113 pounds, and
Oh my
uh,
gosh.
yeah, I was just, like she like took her glasses off and like had to pull them down. Was like, Kyle, is that you? And I'll never forget that look on her face and like the way she started crying when she found me down there like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it basically turned into this like 48-hour battle between like me, her fiance, the cops. Long story short, I end up with this cop who's like, we can either take you in or you can go try a treatment program and I'll leave you alone like right now. So I basically tried a 6-day detox. And it was literally just like 6 days of crying and like hating myself and
Sure.
wondering what the hell happened over the past 4 or 5, 6 years, you know. And then once I got done with that, then I decided to go to a residential treatment center in Riverside. So I kind of got like uprooted, and everybody thought that I had disappeared, and nobody knew how to get a hold of me, and that was like exactly what I needed, you know. So
Sure.
I ended
How
up
long were you
going to.
there?
I was there for 90 days.
Nice.
Yeah, so it was a 90. Well, technically, it was like I was only going to go for 30 days because my original plan was just to lie to everybody until they left me alone. You know,
Oh,
like
sure.
I'm going to fake it.
Absolutely.
And no matter what, I'm going to get everybody off of my back, and they're going to think that I'm clean, and I'll just be able to go right back to it. But I actually had kind of an awakening, and I started giving a shit about my life. And I kind of realized what I was doing to myself and my body. And, there was a big part of me that just wanted to stay clean more than I wanted to keep using. And I was just so sick and tired of being miserable, you know, because towards the end, it was just like, I wasn't even high. Like I was just like, you know, every time it would take me 45 minutes to hit, and I'd be bleeding and crying and snot and tears all over myself. And I'd finally get it in. I wouldn't feel any better, you know? And,
Yeah.
and that was like when I got my last one in. After that cop told me to go to the treatment center, I had like a loaded syringe in my boxers, and I went into the bathroom of that behavioral health place, and I hit that one last time, and it did absolutely nothing, and I just knew that I was done. And I don't know. I mean, I could go on and on and on with you guys about it forever, but I know that I can't, you know, go into depth of every detail. But like I went in there hating myself and everybody because, you know, I didn't like who I was and what I was doing. And you know, I slowly learned how to become a part of society by, you know, participating and, you know, being real with people about where I was at, and being honest about my feelings, and just really opening up and being real, you know, because, you know, I was, I mean, shit, as a young man, you're taught, you know, not to be honest about your emotions and to hide that shit and to stuff it. And,
Sure.
you know, for the first time in my life, I was around a bunch of dudes that were like, you know, it's it's cool to not be okay, you know. And
That's a big
and
thing.
yeah. I mean, I had, you know, my guard was up, and I just judged everybody, and I thought that I was so much worse than everybody else in that treatment center. Like, you guys are all alcoholics, and I'm the fucking badass heroin addict. And I just thought that, like, I thought I was like a better drug addict or something like stupid like that, you know. And it was like, dude, you ain't shit. You're at the bottom of the totem pole. You know, you dug this huge hole, and now you gotta do the right thing for the rest of your life, basically, you know. So I don't know. I mean, you know, they talk about a living amends, and really just like, you know, doing whatever you can to try to fix it. And, you know, I still have family members that don't talk to me to this day because of like the shit that I did. And I'm totally fine with it because, you know, I know that, you know, eventually it will all come back as long as I'm doing the right thing. And got to celebrate 7 years, July 14th of this year. And
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
thank you. Thank you. But yeah, I mean, you know, I basically just did all the shit they told me to do in treatment. You know, I started going to meetings, and I know that, you know, I know that Bradley's house, you know, I know a lot of people in the kind of reggae rock scene are kind of, you know, everybody kind of has like their own version of what recovery is. For some, it's just smoking weed. Some, it's just, you know, drinking, or, you know, everybody kind of finds like their alternative. And like my shit personally is just like a completely radical approach, which is complete abstinence from everything. And that's the only way that I've been able to do it, you know? So that's been like my tip over the past like 7 years. And it's been a extremely interesting process learning how to be a normal person. And you know, not only like learning how to live without drugs, but learning how to live like within like spiritual principles, you know, like you know, I don't know, just being like open-minded and willing, and courageous and like all the stuff that they talk about,
Absolutely.
that I've literally had to been, people have taught me every step of the way, my sponsor and my people that I've met in the program, other people I look up to. So as a kid with no guidance, it's so much more than just not using drugs. Like that was literally just the first step, was taking the drugs away. And then it was all just about like, what's wrong with me? What makes me tick? Why do I do certain things? And, that's where like a lot of the steps and stuff like that come into play. So I try not to be like super preachy about my recovery, but at the same time, like I do know that like, for me, like getting a sponsor, working the steps, like all that shit that people hate to do is it's what has really like been the only thing that has kept my ass alive through this whole thing,
Yeah, that's really key. How old were you when you were in the program?
I was 20 when I got clean.
That's remarkable. I just want to say how much I respect you for doing that. And anybody who has been through recovery, I have so much respect for, because it forces you to deal with things that most people never deal with. Things that we should all deal with, be able to, sit in our own shit and just be there and deal with the things that are actually going on, instead of finding ways to distract ourselves from it, which we all do in some way or another. And but especially I think going through it at a young age. I talk about this a lot with my nephew Jacob. I have so much respect for him for dealing with it at such a young age, and the same with you,
Right.
because it is a hard thing, but especially when you're young, and being able to make those kinds of decisions and stick with it and follow through with it, that's really hardcore. I have maximum respect for that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. It's just to hear your story, and just to hear you just tell that summarized version of it. It's, I just can't imagine what you went through, and for the people that are listening that have been through it, they understand. And for those who don't, somebody who's very close to me told me that beating cancer was easier than getting off of drugs. And that, to me, to hear that was just like, I couldn't believe it. So I think that when people say that hard work pays off, you've not only shown it in your music career, but you've put in the hard work in your personal career to get to where you are, and your personal life, excuse me. And I really commend that, man. That's amazing.
Thanks, bud. Yeah, I mean, I can't, obviously I can't compare it to anything, everybody's got some, trial or some shit they got to go through, man. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's like coming to terms with the fact that like I can't use normally, like I can't just smoke weed every now and then, or like just drink every now and then. Like I go hard and like I party till I'm homeless, you know what I mean? And that was like that was like, at 20 years old, it's like your ego and your mind wants to tell you like, no, dude, you can do it, fuck all these people, like my head will literally tell me like, even to this day it tells me that I'm fucking normal and that I'm brainwashed and like it's all lies. But it's like have I seen like the proof, you know what I mean? Like the disease of addiction is really like cunning, because it tries to convince me that I don't fucking have it,
Right.
and that's, that's why I think a lot of like young people have a really hard time, man, because there's so many people just cheering you on. Like I remember like when I got clean, it was like, you're 20 years old and you don't fucking drink. Like what is wrong with you? You know what I mean?
Right.
And especially, especially once I got into like the reggae rock scene, it was like, everybody that I met, like, like I'll never forget that, when I was at Cali Roots and I got to meet Kyle and the whole Stupid crew. And like I got on the tour bus and Kyle handed me a drink and I was like, no, I'm good, man. And I like remember like the way that he looked at me and I was like, oh, I just turned out a drink from like one of my favorite musicians of all time, dude. And like, I think he gets it. Like I think eventually everybody gets it, but it's like I have to completely disregard my ego and what everybody fucking thinks about me. And, like there's not like some big audience in my head watching my every fucking move. And that's like literally what I thought when I first started all this, so it's, I don't know, man. Like I do the best I can just to stay like, true to my path and just to have like conviction in what I do, because it's literally the only thing that's like saved my life so far,
Absolutely. Kyle, thank you so much for being transparent, not just with us on the show, but you are transparent all the time on social media and at your shows and one-on-one with people. And I think that's so powerful because it reminds people that you're human and that you can understand what they're going through, and it validates what they're dealing with as well. And I think there's really a lot of strength that people draw from that. And I do think that that's one of the reasons why you have such a loyal fan base, because you are such a genuine person. And one of the things that I always say is that I think, it took me a long time to figure out why people, after so many years, were so passionate about my brother's music.
Hmm.
Obviously, Sublime made great music, but there's a lot of bands that make great music that, 25 years after they stop making it are not um, as well appreciated and loved and remembered as Sublime's music is. And I think a big
Yep.
part of it was that they were genuine, and that Brad was very genuine and very vulnerable. And I see that same thing in you. And I really appreciate it because I think that that's what allows you to transcend beyond just your music career and really impact people on a very personal level. So thank you for doing that.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess the more that I write and the longer I do this, it's like, it before, like when I first started writing, it was just like all about me, 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 me. And like now that I know that people are actually listening to the music, it's like, how is this song going to make somebody feel, and what are the lyrics saying to them? And I want whoever's listening to this track to fucking feel like they can overcome anything. And I want them to know that, like, bad shit happens and we get through it and it's going to be okay, and like
Absolutely.
that's one of the main things that I think about when writing now. So
So your most recent single, Make It Through, was that one of the things you had in your head as you were writing those lyrics?
yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's kind of, I wrote that one post corona, so with everything going on, it was like, about like how we just had like our whole like music scene just like ripped out of our hands, like literally within like a week, my whole world was all of our whole worlds were flipped upside down, and
Right.
any musician listening to this can tell you the same exact thing, like shit hit the fan like overnight,
Yeah, you had a big
and
tour planned and all
oh
that.
yeah, yeah, it was like my first, yeah, thousands of dollars invested, like don't get me wrong, the money comes and goes, like all that kind of shit, but like, always it's always, the first, when shit was getting crazy in March, it was just like, all right, we just got to do what's best for everybody and stay safe, yada, and etc. And everybody was just so supportive and everybody like bought all the merch that I'd invested in. But at the same time, it's like shit, like I had to like cancel the van, like all this shit. Like every single venue just started dropping like one at a time, and I kept getting calls and calls. And I was just like, I was literally on my way to LAX to go pick up the van. And we had to like stop in the parking lot and like decide to pull the plug like last minute on our way to go get the tour van.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
How do you deal with all that frustration and disappointment and not let that bleed over into your fan base?
Mm, well, I mean, for one, everybody has been extremely supportive. Like literally within that, it literally all boils back down to like the amazing people in our scene. Because I think that same night, everybody just bought like all the merch that I was planning to take on tour. And
Wow.
everybody that bought like the VIP meet and greet passes, like nobody was like upset or like, oh fuck you guys, you know what I mean? Like nobody was mad, everybody was just like, holy shit dude, that sucks, like take
Right.
the money for gas and like, just send me like a shirt and I'm happy, you know what I mean? Like shit like
Oh,
that, like people that were buying like $50 VIP passes and shit. And yeah, I mean, everybody couldn't have been more kind and helpful. And then I just that night, I was just like, oh my God, like, just like Bradley said, look at all the love we found, that statement rings true no matter how long I've, like in every aspect of like our scene and our genre, like that we just all have like the greatest people around at all times. And, you guys can attest to that, with the Knoll Family Foundation and everything.
absolutely. I agree. There are some really phenomenal people that
Yeah.
tend to be around this scene. And I think it makes it really, it's a positive place not only to be, but, to have your family around and all of that. And it's just really, really cool to be able to experience that. And you especially, I think, have a lot of really great people that follow your music and that are, feel very close to you. And I think that that's really cool.
Almost too close sometimes.
So you work full time in addition to your music career, is that right?
Yeah.
And how do you balance that? I mean, I have so much respect for you. I know you work all day and then you pursue your passion at night, and that probably doesn't leave a lot of time for sleep, which I can definitely relate to. But I mean, are there times that you just want to say, fuck everyone and I'm going to go sleep for 3 days?
Sometimes. And let me backtrack, because I don't want my last statement to think like, oh, like, because I was like, yeah, people can be like way too close.
Oh, no.
I just say, like, like a lot of, I don't know, like the way that I interact with everybody, it's like, people like to give me shit and people like to roast me, and like people like make stupid memes of me and shit, like
Who the fuck is Kyle Smith?
yeah, like on my group page and stuff, and like I honestly, no matter what people say, like I totally take it as a compliment, because I don't see people like doing that with like, other people. I don't know, maybe occasionally, but I don't see people like like with the tough love and the shit talking and like all that with like other bands that they listen to. So I think that what you say about like people being able to support me like on a one-to-one, like I'm more of a, I almost think, I don't know, I mean, I try to be friends with everybody like before I'm like a musician, you know what I mean? And that's like my thing. It's like I spent like so many years of people just like not wanting me around, and then to go from that to this, it's just like I just love and appreciate like everybody that comes through and wants to support me in any way. And
Yeah, you do have an intimacy with your fans, and I think that's great. And that's, again, it's another comparison that I draw to Brad, because I get messages from people all the time that say, yeah, I met him one time and he was so cool and we talked.
yeah.
And, and it's that ability to connect with people, and that makes a huge difference with the music. Speaking of which, how did you first hear about Sublime?
Shit, when I was when I was I think you're gonna hate this one, but I think I was like 9 or 10.
Yeah, I
And
do hate you for that.
I think I was 9 or 10. So when I was a kid, my sister was always 5 years older than me. So my sister was like 13, 14 when I was like 9. And her and all her friends listened to like all the good like 90s, like punk rock, No Effects, Sublime, Pennywise,
Nice.
all that stuff. And I think it was really just like a lot of her friends coming around the house and like teaching me little licks on the guitar when I was a little kid and stuff like that. And the first song I ever heard was Garden Grove. And I was like 10 or 11, somewhere around there. And when I was a really little kid, like it took me a minute to get into it. And then I swear to God, like the second I started smoking weed, I was like, this is my fucking favorite band ever. I don't know what it is. But like, I don't know. Like it took me a while, like, cause when I was like in middle school, I listened to a lot more like, like metal and punk rock. And I was all about like, I listened to a lot of like pop punk, like Sum 41 and a lot of that stuff. And then once I discovered Sublime, it just opened up this whole new window of like, holy shit, like who are the Descendants? You know what I mean? Who's Bad Religion?
Yeah.
Who's Toots and the Maytals? You know what I mean? Like it opened up. Bradley was like just so amazing about like bringing all this great kind of like, previous generation music to all these new listeners,
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing about what Sublime did, is really open that up to a lot of people. And we were talking in the last episode with Paul Milbury and Yasad Williams from Law Records and Pepper, and talking about the fact that the house that Bradley built, this new compilation album that they put together to benefit the Knoll Family Foundation and Bradley's house, has really done a lot of the same thing, introduced new artists to people. And
Yep.
and I think that that's a really cool thing. So tell us about your involvement with that. So you're on the new deluxe edition that's coming out January 15th.
Oh my goodness. It's already less than a month away?
Isn't that crazy?
Woo! Let's go. All right. So sorry, I hope I didn't like distort the microphone when I yelled right now, but
Totally worth it.
you know what? I think that you sent me a message and asked me if I wanted to be a part of it. Am I wrong?
You are correct. I did do
Okay.
that because
Oh
I
my
really
God.
wanted you on the album.
You're amazing. First off,
Thank
Romeo
you.
is probably like one of my top like 3 favorite Sublime songs. And just the fact that, like, I don't know if you brought the song up or if it was like, hey, you have a choice between this and this. I'm pretty sure that you were like, I want you to do Romeo, if I'm not wrong.
So you asked me what I thought you should do, and
Okay.
I never like to tell artists what I want to hear. I like to hear
Yeah.
what they want to play or what they want to sing or what they want to
Right.
perform. But but I did say, a couple of my favorite, sentimental favorite songs that I think you would be really great at, and I threw out a couple, and one of them was Romeo, and you said that you'd been thinking about Romeo, so I think that was sort of a confirmation.
God, I love that song so much.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah.
One of the oldies, but it's a great song.
I love the older the better. I mean, especially when it comes to the way that they used to record that stuff. I mean, you've had a chance to listen to it a couple times, so you can probably tell that I kind of tried to like imitate that kind of old tape sound with the vocals, where it's kind of
Yeah.
like bouncing off of each other in a way. Like it sounds like an old tape recorder, which is like exactly what they used on that. But we, obviously it's a whole different style because you guys, wanted it to be like mainly an acoustic album. So we have like, classical
Yeah.
guitar and nylon
Oh, it's
strings. It sounds like
beautiful.
a Spanish track with Sublime lyrics,
It does. I love it so much. I gotta be honest. I really love the way that turned out. I
Thank
do.
you.
You did a great job.
Thank you. But yeah, extremely honored to be, just to be a part of and that song in particular. I mean, just the lyrics stand out to me so much because that was like a big thing that I related to when I was like, 15 or 16 and I really started like digging into. I think that one was on. Am I wrong? Was it on Secondhand Smoke?
It's possible. I just know it from the early stuff, so
Right.
I'm
I
bad
think.
at knowing what came out when, but it was
No,
an
I
early
think.
song.
Yeah, I think it was on Secondhand Smoke that had like all the whole, alternate version of Doing Time and April 29th, like the Leary version, whatever it was. They gave it like a
Right.
specific name, but yeah, that
Yeah, it was just pulling
record,
together some of the older recordings or some of the things that hadn't made it on albums, and that
right,
hadn't been on anything, so it was a good
right.
time to put that one
Yeah,
out.
it's from Secondhand Smoke.
Yeah, I figured.
Jarrett knows.
Yeah, but I mean, just the lyrics, I have a secret place inside my mind where I keep hidden inspiration you won't find. Like I don't know. I mean, I related to that shit so much when I was like a teenager
Yeah.
and, I was always chasing some girl when I was 14, 15 and always like, messed up in the head over some chick. And he's just like,
No.
I'm a Romeo with no place to go. And like, that was my shit.
Yeah. Well, he was young when
So,
he wrote that. That
yeah.
was an early one.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I'm just super grateful that out of all the songs like that was really cool to be a part of that one. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I'm glad you chose that. It's a great album. There's so many great artists, and like I said, I'm excited that people get to discover new people and new sounds and new music by listening to the songs that they're familiar with, but they're, retold in a different way. And
Right.
yeah, I think it's going to be really well received. You did a great job. And
Thank
so
you.
I also feel like we need to give some props to the guys in your band because they are incredibly talented
Oh yeah.
and I feel like they oftentimes get overlooked because it's Kyle Smith, all about Kyle
Right, right.
Smith, which is awesome and it should be, but you really do have some amazing guys in your band, Scotty on the drums and Christopher on the bass, just such talented guys and really good people.
Yep, the hardest working dudes in like that I've ever met, probably. And yeah, I mean, shit, I met them at like after I dropped like my first record, I met them at a open mic, and they were just like
Did
one
you
thousand
really?
percent. Yeah, they were just 1,000% on board, and I was going around playing acoustic sets by myself everywhere, and they're like, "Dude, you need a band," and from there it was just like I don't know. I mean, it just the I think they're a gift from God.
They
but,
are indeed.
but I don't know. I mean, everybody's got their own opinion with that kind of shit. But yes, Scott Brown was he killed it on the cajon, which is what he played since we did everything all acoustic.
Love it.
Yeah, Scott Brown played the cajon and a lot of the percussion, shakers, djembe, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Chris played a little bass on the verses, and yeah, I mean, obviously he's a great bass player. He's amazing, good energy on stage.
Of course,
And
that's
then
Chris Nishida. Yeah.
Yep, Chris Nishida, and then Drew Chermak has a amazing trumpet solo on that track,
Hmm.
which is like I think he just did that in one take, and we were like, Jesus Christ, dude,
Yeah.
like that's it. You know?
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
got it. He's got it.
he's a phenom. He's amazing. So yeah, I mean, I do the best I can to make sure that like at every show it's just like, hey everyone, this is like I don't even like say my name most of the time. It's just like, hey everybody, this is Chris Nishida and Scott Brown. You know?
You do.
And,
I've noticed that at some of your shows that you're always talking about the guys, and it's like,
yeah.
you should probably tell people your name too.
Yeah, but well, shit. I mean, it's like people see my name on the records and
True.
on social media and stuff. But it's like anytime I'm playing, I do. Don't get me wrong. A lot of the recording production is like most of the stuff you're hearing on the record is either me or like either that or from before it was like studio musicians and drum samples and that kind of stuff. But like when it comes to the live shows and like bringing, we play everything like totally different live. So those guys really have been a huge instrumental part in everything going on. So
Yeah, it's
No
a great
pun
vibe.
intended.
yeah, no, I see what you did there.
Kyle, you're listening to this story is amazing. For a second there, I forgot that I'm on the show. I've just kind of been sitting back listening because it's so awesome. But for those who are listening, if you're not following Kyle on Facebook, make sure you look him up. Now he's over his friend request limit, so he can't accept any more friends. But you can still follow him. And you posted something just maybe it was yesterday or the day before that really hit home to me because I work my regular gig all day. I've got 3 kids, 2 of them that are doing school at home virtually. At nighttime, I'm constantly doing something for one of the podcasts, whether it's reaching out to sponsors or it's, 1 o'clock in the morning and Kelly and I are bouncing ideas off of each other. And you posted just the other day, being lazy is disrespectful to the people that have invested in you. And I read that.
Asshole.
I read that and I'm like, man, I felt that though, right?
Right?
That sounds
Yeah.
so douchey when you say it like that.
No,
Jesus.
it's powerful.
Sorry.
No, man, I really felt that because I was like, it's true. There's a lot of people out there that have invested in whatever it is that I have going on with one of the businesses or one of the shows, and I've got stuff that I got to do, and I could certainly be lazy and sit back, and I'm looking at you, and I'm like, man, here's somebody who, you just told the story that your mom found you in front of the Rite Aid at 113 pounds, and now you're on the House That Bradley Built album. That's an amazing journey, right, man? And it was all through hard work. So, when I saw that really hit home for me, and I was like, man, I'm happy we're gonna have this guy on the podcast because he's just genuinely a good dude.
You have 3 children, though. You're totally not applicable to that statement.
Yeah, man. I don't get a chance.
I have 0 babies. I have 0 babies, and I don't know if I'd be able to do anything that I'm doing. So kudos to you, man. You're the hustler over here, dude.
My original plan was to have 0 babies. I just want to throw that out. Yeah, so that was how this was supposed to go down, and it was just like one after another.
Let's keep it real, though. Kyle's an extremely good-looking guy. He has no babies that he knows of.
Right.
Oh my God! Stop. That's terrible.
No, you've done it. You've done it the right way, man. And I just went through it. We were late getting on the recording tonight because I was wrestling down kids, and they always like to rub it in your face. You go up to the convenience store and right up in the front there's those condoms for $1.99, and I'm always like, yeah, I get it. I could have spent $1.99. I can't believe you're just going to rub it in my face every single time I come in here at 2 o'clock in the morning to buy milk or juice for one of these kids.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I'm not saying never have kids, but never have kids.
Don't
Deal.
say that.
I got you. I just knocked on my nightstand. There you go.
Don't say that. I have 2 wonderful children, despite me, I have to say. And they're both big fans of Kyle Smith, especially my youngest. And Kyle, you have been really instrumental for him because he's had a lot of similar struggles, and he not only connects with your music, but he also connects with you personally. And I know that you've given him a lot of strength and hope and have been a great example for him. So on a very personal level, I'd just like to thank you for that.
No, that means a lot. I met him over at D Piazza's, right?
Yes, you did.
Yep. He was running the booth. I remember.
Yeah, I've
That's
got
right.
really great kids, but
We might have to
um
cut that out.
Yeah,
I
you
don't know
do.
how child labor laws things work and like that.
oh, I put him to work. Are you
Yeah.
kidding?
As far as I know, he made no money. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, we sure appreciate everything that you do to help, promote Bradley's house just by wearing the hat and talking about it. And, you make us look cool and we really appreciate
You guys are
that.
cool. You guys are way cooler than anything we got going on over here. That's for sure. I
So what do you
uh,
have going on? What's next for you in the band?
what do I have going on? Let's see. That is a damn good question. I got a single that I'm going to be dropping whenever we're done with Bradley's, or whenever we get the deluxe version out of Bradley's house. After I was kind of gearing up for this whole Romeo release, and then after that, me and Dan Kelly from Fortunate Youth, we went over to Florida to shoot a music video a couple months ago, and we're going to be dropping that song. It'll be called "My Friend" featuring Dan Kelly,
Ooh,
and
looking forward to that.
yeah, so we recorded it over at 17th Street with Lou Dog over there. So
He's wonderful, isn't
it's
he?
yeah, he's the man.
Very
I can't think about him without saying Jeezy in my head, because he say "What's up, Jeezy" to everybody. And
Everybody knows Lou.
yeah, he's a big, happy, smiley dude, and I don't know. That's the kind of people I like to be around when I'm working. So
For
yeah,
sure.
we got that track coming out after the Bradley's House record, and then shit. I mean, I've been doing a lot of recording over at the Kona Town studio and here at home in Ventura, and with my boy Spitz, who's like Stupid's guy. I basically just been trying to put together a full length over the past like 3 years that I've been grinding on, and COVID kind of put a halt on everything, but I'm looking at like 13, 14 new tracks that nobody's ever heard. So I'm
Wow,
hope,
that's
yeah,
awesome.
I'm hoping that we put that out, and then just kind of build on top of whatever we got going on already.
I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you,
So
thank you.
Kyle, I just need you to fill in one gap here for me because you told us a little bit about your journey. You told us
hmm
about how you got away from the music. When did you pick that guitar back up and really want to hit this thing? Because it seems like you've been cranking out a lot of music over the last few years. When did you decide that you were really going to get serious about your music again?
That is an amazing question. So when I had damn, I must have had, honestly, when I had like 30 or 60 days clean, I was like, I'm never going to be able to sing again unless I do meth. That was like my,
Wow.
that was my thinking, was like, there's no way I'll ever have that energy again. My body will never be able to sing like that again. Like, I don't know if anybody listening has ever like, used like speed or uppers. But the come down, or your body getting used to amphetamines and then absolutely nothing, is like, I like have no, I can't even barely eat or like get up and walk, you know what I mean? And I remember playing my guitar in treatment and like just half-assing it and like trying to sing right and trying to play right, and I was just like, I felt like my hands weren't strong enough, like my voice wasn't loud enough, and I was like, dude, that's fucking it, like you lost it, and that was like, that was my thought for a really long time. And then slowly, as I just started getting my health back and I started believing in myself a little bit, and the better version I built of me, the easier that stuff came. So it was like, once I got over that like initial withdrawal, like after like 6-9 months, I started like playing and singing pretty regularly again. um it was always like a in the closet kind of thing. Like, I didn't like playing shows. I didn't like telling everybody that I could play guitar and sing, but I would like play like little covers and stuff at home in my room alone. And I would start posting little videos out there, like here and there, like on Facebook and stuff. And one night I posted a song that I wrote called Dope Fiend. And
It's a great song.
thank you. And I think like my buddy Mark, SoCal Trash is his stage name. He's a hip hop artist. He's a rapper out there in like Inland Empire area. He called me over to just like jam with him on Facebook Live, and he had a following. And when we went live together, I think that video went to like 90,000 views like overnight. because I
Wow.
yeah, because I played that Dope Fiend song, and that was like, I think that was like the first thing to like set it off, because I still like, everybody that I meet or talk to is just like, yeah man, like I remember when I first saw you pop up on social media and it was that Dope Fiend song. And because of that video, I was just like, shit man, maybe you have something here, you know. And then I got hit up by a producer, and then I went and made the record. And for some reason, I just kind of went with it, you know, like I wasn't set on doing it the way that I am now. But yeah, back then it was just like, yeah, shit, let's see where this goes, you know? And now it's like, I'm fucking making it no matter what. Like, that's like the mentality, you know? But back then it was like, okay, well, I'm just doing like the next right indicated thing. Obviously, this wouldn't be on my table if it wasn't for a reason, you know? So
Right.
I just jumped
You
on the opportunity, you know?
you said something interesting there. Now, did you have a guitar when you were in rehab?
Let's see. I had one after like 60 days. So I forget. Yeah, that's a good question. I didn't have one. I didn't have one in detox, and then I had one when I was in residential treatment. So I was
Nice.
6 days without it, and then I had my beater guitar that was it's an Ovation, and it's one of those kind of like applause series where it's kind of like oval, and like it doesn't have the cutout in the middle, but it kind of has like the leaves on the side. I don't know if you guys have ever seen those, but
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, one of those kind of like little side holes. But yeah, that was like my beater guitar. It was all covered in Sublime stickers, and
Oh,
I had my case that was held together with duct tape, and it said "Anything helps, please and thank you" on it. And
yeah.
I
I've
still
seen
have
the
that.
pictures, right? That's the ones you
Yeah.
had.
Yep, my dad actually just pulled that thing off of the rafters when he was moving out a couple days ago, and he showed me that shit, and I was just like, God damn, man, you know what happened?
Nice.
You know?
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I think that that's one of the things that we're really excited about being able to do with Bradley's House is provide, instruments and music as a real centerpiece for the recovery process for musicians. And I think it's especially important for musicians, but important for everybody to incorporate music into their recovery process. And um, someone showed me a letter, not a letter, I'm sorry, a journal entry that Brad had written one of the times when he was in rehab, and it was day one. And one of the things that he said was, "Why no guitar?" And I thought,
I remember that.
wow,
I've seen that.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
And that really struck me like, okay, we're on the right track. I took that as a real affirmation that we're doing the right thing. And so I do think that music is a very powerful thing for a lot of people, but especially musicians, to be able to incorporate that into the recovery process is so key.
Yeah, and you know what? Not to add to that, I mean, I used, like, just to kind of summarize, like I used drugs because I didn't like the way that I felt, like, all the time, you know. And you know, I think a lot. I'm an overthinker. I'm anxious. I'm paranoid. Like, all, you know. Well, not as much now, but like it used to be my solution to the way that my head worked, you know.
Sure.
And that was the only thing besides like heroin, basically, that like made it sounds crazy, but like made like the I don't want to say made the voices stop, but
It
like
doesn't sound crazy at all. I totally get
the
that. Yeah.
shit talking, you know, like the K fuck radio is what we call it in meetings,
Yeah.
and that's what goes on in my head like 24/7. You know, what do they? You know, it's always just like what people think about you, how it looks to other people. It's not going to be good enough. You're going to fail. Like all those lies that were like engraved into my head. Playing guitar and music was always the thing that made me forget all about that shit, you know. So I'm
That's
super grateful
beautiful.
to have a healthy outlet, you know, and just like just grateful to have a purpose like that, you know. Not a lot of people get to go through life like knowing what they were meant to do, and like I feel like, you know, this is it, you know.
Yeah, I think music is that for a lot of people. I think all those things that you just described are really universal. And I would
Yeah.
be surprised if, 9 out of 10 people listening to this podcast didn't totally agree with what you just said. And and music fills that for a lot of people, whether they're creating music like you do or, listening to music like I do. It's a really, really powerful tool for helping us to overcome things and to get through things and, just to make it through another day. I think music is a really powerful tool for that.
1000%.
Well, we sure appreciate you being on the show with us. And I'm so excited to hear your next album. I'm excited for the stuff that you're putting together. I'm excited for the single with Dan Kelly. Of course, he does Jailhouse on the deluxe edition as well.
Yep.
So I'm stoked for everybody to hear that. He did a
Killed
phenomenal
it.
job. He did, didn't he? Yeah,
Yep.
it's really good. It's
Yep.
really good. I think people are going to be stoked. And your cover of Romeo is phenomenal. And we appreciate you not only sharing your talents with us, but also supporting what we're doing. It means a lot, big time.
Of course. You know what? And it's like such a gift for, not only myself, but anybody that's struggled with addiction and is in like our music scene. 'Cause, I've always been, since I got into the scene and I started playing shows and I started like showing up and I'm just the type of dude that's like in everybody's face all the time with my shit, like nonstop. like when I was new, like 2 or 3 years ago, it's like, oh, Pepper's playing 7 hours away. I'm there and I'm getting backstage fucking somehow, and
Nice.
like that was just how I was. Like I just wanted to meet everybody, just be there like all the time, and this whole thing that you guys have going on, setting up Bradley's house and all the donations and the shows, it's like it truly gives me a place to where I feel like I've found my niche, to where I can, be in the music scene, but also support my recovery at the same time by, sharing and sharing my experience. And one of our main things in NA is like, we can only keep what we have by giving it away.
Right.
And for me to just take the gift from the meetings and then just, all right, later I'm fucking going and playing a bunch of shows and just kind of like leaving everybody hanging isn't cool. But if I'm doing it and I'm spreading the message and I'm doing it in a positive way and I'm trying to help others along the way, and it's like, you guys really bring that whole like recovery aspect into like my music scene and my world. So I'm just as grateful for you, and I appreciate everything you guys are doing. It truly makes me feel like I've found my niche and I'm at home. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. Thank you. That really means a lot. I do feel like we've experienced a lot. We've also been really blessed with a lot of, just the fact that so many people love and remember Brad. And, in some ways that makes it harder, and in some ways it makes it better. And so I think we just feel this sense of responsibility to be able to share that with other people. And, so it really means a lot to know that it's working. So thank you.
And also too, and then I'll shut up.
You can go all night, man. I'm loving this.
Dude, I can honestly say that like I'm sure almost every musician in our scene could tell you like there has been like no bigger impact on me than like Sublime or Bradley's lyrics or Bradley's music. And that's just like, that's just real shit. Like there's no other band where like we all know every single fucking lyric to every song on every record. Like there's nobody else I can think of to where I know shit the way that I know Sublime. Or
right. And then you're like, oh, in the one live rendition of it, he changes the lyrics a little bit on this one. And it's true, man.
Yep, 1000%. So yeah, I mean, what your brother did, Kelly, is just like, I want to say that he changed the face of music forever, and a lot of people will agree with me. And I know that literally right before we jumped on this call, you were like, oh, I don't really, I don't think he was like Prince big, and I'm like, no, he was way better. So, just take like, whatever those last memories are at the weenie roast or like any of that stuff, multiply them by 10,000. And that's how we all see it, because Sublime was legendary. And, there's, I mean, who else, stopped making music 25 years ago and is still just destroying the charts with tribute albums? You know what I mean? Like it's absurd. It's absurd. So there was something truly special there, and the way that I see it is those are anthems of every every punk rocker, every skateboarder, every addict, you know what I mean? Like just everything that he said and put down on paper just resonates in the hearts of just millions of people all over the world. So don't ever lose sight of how big everything, really is. I just want to tell you that.
Yeah, absolutely. I never questioned my brother's talent. In fact, I
Yeah.
probably thought that he was way more talented than he was because in my mind, everything he did was amazing. Like I look back at
Right.
little drawings that he made for me when I was a kid, and I remember thinking he was like the greatest artist, and they're really not good. But, as my older brother, I looked up to him and I thought that everything he did was wonderful and
Yep.
amazing. But the part that trips me out is just how people are so impressed by him as a person because I remember hearing him blowing his nose in the shower. I mean, he was just an older brother and did a lot
Yeah.
of stupid shit. But
Yeah.
I do think it's wonderful, and I love that other people recognize his talents because he was brilliant and he was talented and he had a beautiful heart. And I there were a lot of times that I hated him because he was my brother, and that's what you do. But
Right.
there were definitely more times that I loved him, and so it's very gratifying that so many people feel that way about him too.
Oh yeah, and I'm gonna add to the fanboyness. I've heard Mike Pinto talk about. I love Mike, by the way.
Oh, he's
I'm sure he's already
wonderful.
been on here, but
I
Mike,
love him.
yeah, he's amazing. Big influence on me too. Been listening since I was a teenager, and I remember talking with Mike one night, and he's like, "Yeah, dude," he's like, "I had a dream that Bradley came to me one time, and he told me, he said, stop writing fucking love songs." you know and I'll never remember, he told, and then I was like, no way, dude. I was like, I had a dream too that like they were playing at a skate park. Like this is literally my dream, like fucking 3 years ago, was they were playing at a skate park, and like I knew about like the future, like somehow I knew about the future, and I went up to him and I like grabbed him by his shoulder. I was like, dude, I looked at him, I was like, you're gonna fucking change music forever. And he just kind of like laughed, and he's like, thanks, man, that's really nice. And then he just kind of walked off, and I was like,
That sounds about right.
I was like, you have no fucking idea, dude. It's like, you have no clue. So I always thought that was a super trippy dream. Just wanted to add to the fanboyness because I sound
I
like a
love it.
fanboy already. But
That's great. I
yeah,
love it.
for somebody to be such a huge influence on you that they're in your dreams, and that's big. So just there's no denying the impact that that Brad had on musicians everywhere. So
That's
It's
amazing.
funny when we had Miguel on, I had asked him about when they were first getting started, and I'm sure they had no idea they were going to make musical history, and
Right.
He interrupted me and he said, "Oh, make no mistake about it, we were trying to make history," and they certainly did, and it's their impact just is felt so much throughout the scene, and you can feel it so much in your music as well. Now, Kyle, each week I ask, or each episode, excuse me, I ask our guests, if you and I meet, and I've never heard of Sublime in my life, I've never heard a song, I don't know a thing about them, and you're going to try to turn me on to them, and I'm going to give you one song. You've got one opportunity to rope me in and show me what this band is all about. What song would you play?
Come on,
and you can't
dude.
pick Romeo. I know.
Come on.
Listen, I
God
know
damn.
it's a tough one.
Shit, man. You know what? I gotta say, God, it's so hard because I want to say "Caress Me Down," but there's a whole punk rock element too. Because there's one thing, and I'm sorry, Kelly. I know this is your brother, but there's one thing that Bradley said was, I like punk rock, I like reggae, but what I love most of all is pussy.
Yes.
And I was like, this fucking guy knows what's up, and so there's that. But there's also, I got to keep in mind that there's the whole punk rock shit. I don't want to say date rape. You know what?
There's no wrong answer here, bud. You're beating yourself up too much.
No, I'm not beating myself up. I'm truly trying to think of like what's like the one song that can truly just like break down like everything that they killed it at. And it's like every song's just so different. I'd probably have to say same in the end.
Oh, good
Yeah.
Well,
one.
then you'd have me roped. I'd be a Sublime fan. So congratulations, you
Yeah.
picked the right song.
Because it's just, high energy, great guitar solo at the end. Like, yeah, that would probably be my numero uno for me. Would be same in the end.
Great
Yeah.
choice.
I
Yeah.
never know what my favorite. People ask me all the time, well, what's your favorite Sublime song? And I pretty much give a different answer every single time. It really depends on the day or what kind of mood I'm in.
Yeah.
But yeah, same in the end. I like it. So Kyle, when you're not at your day job and doing music and answering fans' messages and putting up inspirational quotes on Facebook, what are you doing? What are you doing for fun, man? Do you have any outside hobbies? Do you play basketball? Do you binge Netflix? Are you playing video games? What are you doing?
Dude, I am out in the mountains away from everything and everyone, backpacking and going and wherever there's no cell service, I'm out. So my big thing right now, or I guess more towards summer. It's a little too cold now, but my big thing in summer was backpacking and just like, gnarly trips, waterfalls, hikes. I mean, I like the really crazy, like 16-mile hikes where you're like up at a glacier at the top and you're backpacking overnight, all that stuff.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. One of these days when I'm in California, we're going to have to sit down and you can tell me about one of those 16-mile hikes.
Not take you on one, Jared?
No, absolutely not take me on one, but
I
I'll
got
totally
a whole book of them, dude.
Yeah. I'll listen to stories about them for sure, but I'm actually just tired. I'm tired just thinking about it.
There's something very life-changing about being out in an environment that makes you feel very small and insignificant and is so awe-inspiring. I get it.
You know what? I guess being a city boy, I can feel that because that's kind of how I feel when I'm in a big city and the hustle and the bustle of it and the big buildings. So I guess that's I can understand that. But the 16-mile hike, I am out.
That's where he lost you, huh?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot to see in California and Utah and Arizona, and that's been I don't know, man. I mean, I've always been a nature whore, but
Nature.
yeah. I mean, it just amazes me. It amazes me that like something like that is just like not like made. You know what I mean? And that's just the way that it's supposed to be. And it's just like I don't know, like I going to places like Zion National Park or like Yosemite or a lot of places up in Northern California, like by Mount Shasta and like that whole area. It's just like, I don't know, if I can sit somewhere there and like it looks like a painting and like, you see like the top of the mountain that's all iced up and then green and waterfalls and rivers. I'm just like, especially Mammoth too. Mammoth has always been like my happy place, so anywhere like that, that's where I'm at when I'm not working.
I lived in Oregon for 5 years.
Beautiful.
Almost 6 years. Yeah. And it was amazing.
Nice.
And the group of dads that lived in our little cul-de-sac were all native Oregonians. And I grew up in Philadelphia. And,
Nice.
and so they're all sitting around talking about, their time in the woods. And, a couple of them lived like in the middle of nowhere, and they're talking about bears and they're coming into their house while they're not there, and wolves and coyotes and these snakes, and like they all kind of look over at me for my 2 cents, and I'm like, yeah, man, we had a couple crazy neighborhood crackheads that would that was so I that's like the best that I got on that. But bears and all that, no, I'm out. I'm good. I like to be able to get to the store in 2 minutes. I want to have cell service. I need to know what's going on ESPN.com the second I want to know. So yeah, but
I dropped a song called Just Like Them back in August, and I was I was in a tent.
Nice.
I was in a tent and I had no service, and it was killing me because I was just like I dropped the song, obviously it hits at 9 p.m. on the West Coast, and I'm already like shacked up in a tent like on this lake up in the middle of a place called Desolation Wilderness by Lake Tahoe. And yeah, I just remember like I couldn't even find out how it did until like the next morning. I finally hiked down like another 8 miles and got service.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's crazy. I mean, I I tailgated one time for like 4 hours. So that was, I've also,
It's just
I've,
like that, Jared. It's
yeah,
just
You're a
I've
like
also
legend,
that.
done some
dude.
outdoor stuff.
You fucking
Listen,
legend.
it's not, you don't understand. The lines at those porta potties get out of control, especially around like 11 in the morning. I mean, I really had to rough it out there. then we bought an RV and started bringing that tailgating, and that was a whole nother story. So, Kyle, man, I absolutely admire everything that you have done, and hearing your story about where you came from to where you are now, and knowing that it's not even close to where you're going to be. Eventually, I'm happy we got you on now, because eventually you're going to be too big for our
I agree.
podcast.
Yeah.
You're absolutely heading places, and I know that with the setback of COVID this year, that really hasn't held you back, and I know that 2021 is going to be a huge year for you. When I was a kid, the unsigned hype in the Source magazine was always a big thing that everybody went and looked at, and
Nice.
I kind of feel like that's kind of where you are right now. You're right on that verge of explosion, man, and I'm so happy to see it, and I can't wait for the single to be released on the House That Bradley Built Deluxe Edition.
Thanks, man. I'm happy for everybody to be able to hear it. I'm super grateful to be a part of it, and hopefully nobody's, hopefully it's I mean, everybody kind of did their own thing and kind of has like their own version and rendition of everything, and this, I feel like this time it's I think it'll probably be a lot different direction than what everybody's expecting. So I kind of like that.
Definitely.
Yeah. Thank you guys, though. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you so
absolutely.
much. Thanks
Kyle,
for being on the show.
Where can fans check out your music? Go ahead, get your shit in, man.
Well, let's see. You can find me basically anywhere: Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, all the above. If you just type in my name, it's just Kyle Smith, and you'll be able to find my most recent song, "Make It Through," or "Just Like Them." I guess there's another gospel Kyle Smith out there, but it'll be pretty easy to differentiate the two with all the fucks and shits. So. I've always wondered how many people pull up my songs in church, but I don't know. We should be pretty easy to find, and then you can find me on Instagram at Kyle Smith Jams, or you can just type in my name on Facebook too. So pretty easy to find. Music's everywhere, and then I got about 9 tracks out there for the public as of right now.
And I highly recommend that people follow you, whether they are into the music or not, because you are such a positive person and you post so many really relatable things that often inspire me in very unique ways. So thanks for doing that. Thanks for being so open and honest about who you are and the struggles you're going through and the victories you're having, and allowing us all to be a part of that journey.
Yeah, it goes both ways. I appreciate that. You're the best.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, Kyle, thank you so much for stopping by. I had a great time, and we look forward to having you back on sometime in the future, man.
Yes, sir. ASAP. Let's do it.
He's ready right now. Again.
Let's go.
I love it.
Thank you so
Awesome.
much, Kyle. I love you so
appreciate
much.
you
You're the
guys.
greatest.
Love you too, mamas. Thank you guys so much for everything. Appreciate all your hard work and everybody just making this thing so awesome and making it what it is. So I'm gonna sign out and got nothing but love for you. I will see all your faces in person soon eventually here.
I look forward to it. Can't wait. Have a great night,
Thanks,
Kyle.
Kyle.
Thank you.
All right, you too. See you
Bye-bye.
guys.
Wow, Kelly, I think every single time we do an episode, it's become my new favorite guest. And that doesn't take anything away from the previous guests that we've had, because I've loved every single conversation. But Kyle is just really an impressive individual, isn't he?
I feel absolutely the same way. And I feel really bad about that, because our very first guest was my own father, who really, there's no one else on this earth that I love and respect more. But I really have been so happy with every conversation that we've had. And they're conversations that I want to listen to, which is amazing, because I hate hearing myself, but I'm always excited to hear it, before we post it, because the guests are so awesome. And I feel really fortunate that we've had such phenomenal guests. I hope we can keep this up.
Yeah, I always get a little nervous that we're never going to be able to top what we did the week before, and somehow we've just You kept lining up great guests for us, so we've been very lucky.
I can't take any credit for it. They're just wonderful people.
Now, as the listeners are hearing this show, Christmas is already passed, but as we're recording, we're just coming up on it. Are you all set for the holidays?
I'm happy to say that I am. And if we were talking 4 days ago, I would have said no, and I would have been in a crazy panic. But fortunately, I have this wonderful soon-to-be daughter-in-law and wonderful girlfriend of my other son who are great at gift buying and gift giving, which is not my gift at all. And so they help me finish out my list and get everything wrapped, and I'm super thankful for that. So I'm not going into this Christmas totally crazy and stressed out and shopping on Christmas Eve like I usually do.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Now,
how about you?
Yeah, I kind of finished it up today a little bit. Here's the problem: is that my kids suck.
No, they
don't.
not.
They're great kids, right? But they like to play video games. That's what they like to do. So
I
there's
could hang with them.
there's only so many accessories and video game things, and they just play the same game. So I don't know, I'm walking around the store and I'm like, yeah, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. And on top of it, and this is a bridge that I'm going to cross. Parents, if you have small children listening, cup their ears for a second here. My 11-year-old tells me the other day, he goes, yeah, I don't believe in Santa anymore. My teacher told us that that's not real.
The teacher?
The teacher.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that at all.
Yeah, that's
Now,
not cool at all.
I totally no-sold it. And I'm like, yeah, well, your teacher must have just been bad. So
Yeah.
his parents had to provide presents for him. But
Well done.
I'm like, I know for a fact that I wake up on Christmas morning and there's stuff under the tree that I didn't purchase. So
it's just there.
You tell me where it came from. So I think I've got I got a pretty solid plan for
Nice.
this year. Yeah, we got a Santa Claus suit lying around, and there might be a video sighting on one of the cameras. And I'm gonna totally topsy-turvy. You take that back to your teacher. Let them know about that. But yeah, so I guess I'm ready, but you never know when you have small kids. They're going to wake up early. They're going to rip everything open, and then they're going to go back to playing video games. I told my dad's like, what should I get for the boys for Christmas? And I'm like, those little rubber donuts people sit on after, something like that maybe for their ass, because all they do is sit on them and play video games all day. And then my 11-year-old goes off to a sleepover last weekend, and the mom texts me and she's like, oh my God, he's so great. He's so helpful. This is wonderful. And I'm like, yeah, no, my kid's Nicholas. Were you texting someone?
Jared, that's good parenting. When your kids go somewhere and the parents are impressed with them, that means you've done a good job. So pat yourself on the back. Yeah,
or maybe he is just interviewing to go live somewhere else. And he's just putting on his best act to see if he can't up his game a little bit. So,
well, I'm excited for the new year. I know 2020 has been a big challenge for a lot of people, and I'm super excited that we're going into 2021 with hope and excitement, and I really think there's going to be some phenomenal things that happen in the new year. I always believe that whenever there's been a difficult season in life, that it's always followed by a season of really reaping and getting the benefits of all the crap that you've been sowing for so long. And so I'm excited for 2021. I think it's going to be a great year for a lot of people.
It is. It's going to be an amazing year, and honestly, it can only go up from here.
That's
so
true.
And then we're kicking the year off with January 15th. The house that Bradley built deluxe edition comes out, and I think it's awesome that you guys kind of had that set up, and we talked a little bit about that last week with Paul and Yi. That that was a great way to kind of get the year started and give everybody something to look forward to and something
that is the genius of Paul Milbury.
Absolutely. And that, guys, you can find that. You can pre-order it at dash or hyphen? Which one are we going with? Is it
Pick
law
one.
hyphen?
Either one. We're good either
Law
way.
law-records.com. You guys can get your pre-order in to make sure that on January 15th you've got them. I know that you guys did some vinyl on the first ones, and they sold out pretty quick, didn't they?
They sold out several times. Yeah, that's been a really big seller.
So guys, don't be on the outside looking in. You guys can get to law-records.com right now and get your pre-order in. And of course, the singles that have been released, Shane Hall, Under My Voodoo, Iration DJs, Pepper with Date Rape, I think I'm
Cashed
missing
Out
one
with
here.
Slow
Cashed
Ride.
Out, Slow Ride. There it is. Just been some amazing releases already. If you guys haven't seen those, you can check those out at the Law Records YouTube page. Of course, you can catch up with everything that's going on with the Knoll Family Foundation on all forms of social media at the Knoll Family Foundation. There's always new updates going on there. And I'll tell you, just from this podcast, the Bradley's House private group on Facebook, if you're listening and you're not a member, hop in there because there's really some awesome things going on. And in such a short period of time, I've made some really good friends in that group. The guys over at LNJ Sessions, Late Night Jam Sessions, they actually just played with Kyle Smith a few weeks ago in
Yeah, those are great
Allentown.
guys.
And they're from an area that I grew up in South Jersey, and I've been talking back and forth with them. They're really awesome guys. And again, this group on Bradley's House on Facebook has really just been amazing. People share their story, and the second they do, there's so much love spread in there. So you guys can check out the Bradley's House Facebook page. That thing's really growing fast, Kelly. I think we're up to almost 2,500 people in there.
It's amazing. It's really become a wonderful place for people to share their stories of recovery and also to get encouragement. And, whether they're someone who's in recovery or has a family member or a friend, or even if they've never been in recovery and don't even know anyone in recovery, it's just a really positive group of people. And it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been amazing. And, I want to take a second. We haven't shouted out yet, and I would like to give a special thanks and a shout out to Jen Armstrong, who does
Yes.
so much. She is just so amazing. And I feel bad that it's taken this many episodes to acknowledge her because she's really awesome and putting in a ton of work behind the scenes.
She does. She is the social media director for the Knoll Family Foundation. She does it on a completely volunteer basis. She reached out to me and said, if you ever need help with social media, let me know. And at the time, I was handling all of our social media in addition to everything else. And it's just not my gift. And to be able to have her handle all of that has just been revolutionary for me and really better for everybody because everybody gets much better information on social media about the foundation and Bradley's House and what's going on than if I were to do it. I put like 3 words and that's it. And she'll do a whole big long post. She's wonderful. And she's just a really, really beautiful soul. She's a wonderful person. And I love her so much. And I'm so glad you brought her up.
Yeah, and we're not even going to hold against her the fact that she's a Ravens fan. That's not her fault. But yeah, no, special thanks to her. She's really done a lot for the show and obviously everything that she's doing for the foundation and their pages. So
she's a hero.
Thank you very much, Jen. And for all of you guys that are listening, this is the last time you're going to hear Kelly and I in 2020. We will be back to you in 2021. The podcast isn't going anywhere. We've got a lot of stories to tell and a lot of information to give out, and we're going to keep working to get Bradley's House built, and we can do it with your help. And Kelly, if somebody wants to give a little donation, where should they go?
They can go visit our website at theknollfamilyfoundation.org. They can check us out on Facebook under Knoll Foundation or Instagram and Twitter under Knoll Family. We are all of those places. They can send a donation to PayPal to info at theknollfamilyfoundation.org or Cash App at Knoll Family. So we're all over the place. We'll take it anywhere. We'll even take checks and cash. We'll take whatever we can get. And every penny goes towards getting Bradley's house open, which I feel a real sense of urgency to do, because even though COVID has really eclipsed the opioid epidemic in our country, it has not gone away. In fact, it's gotten worse. Overdoses are on the rise. People are struggling with depression and mental illness and substance abuse. And even though we don't hear about it as much, sadly, people are losing that fight. And so every day that we don't get the house open is another day that we're potentially losing people. So I personally feel a huge sense of urgency, and I appreciate every single donation that comes in, everything that everybody does to support getting Bradley's house open, because I do believe that we're going to change lives.
It's absolutely going to happen, and everything that you and your dad, Jacob, and Todd, and everybody on the board has been able to do with that many incredible people that all feel so strongly about it. There's no doubt that this house is going to get open, and it's going to absolutely change lives. So
Right on.
really looking forward to 2021. Guys, thank you so much for all of your support as we're getting the podcast going, all the likes, the shares, the subscriptions. It really means a lot to myself and to Kelly and to the foundation, and everything that we're trying to do and spread this awareness through the podcast. So we can't appreciate you enough, and we look forward to seeing you guys in 2021. And that's going to wrap it up for 2020 and Bradley's House podcast. I'm Jared Orr. She's Kelly Noel. And you don't have to go home, but it's time to leave Bradley's house. We'll see you guys next year.
I'm so excited to share with you all a clip of Kyle Smith's cover of the sublime song Romeo that's going to be coming up on the brand new The House That Bradley Built Deluxe Edition on January 15th. Here you go. Kyle Smith, Romeo.
Inside my mind, where I keep hidden inspiration you will find. And when my petty anger goes to my head, you'll find I'm better off dead. Oh, and I don't hold the key to find out what is killing me. It's been so long, but somehow I just still care. Oh, I am a Romeo, with no place to go.
Hello, my name is Tyson with the Knoll Family Foundation, and I wanted to provide some resources to any men and women that need help and are struggling with drug and alcohol abuse. The first one I want to give is the SAMHSA.gov website, and that is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration website. And their 1-800 number is 1-800-662-HELP. That's 1-800-662-4357. And you can always personally reach out to myself. My name is Tyson Sullivan, and you can email me at info@theknollfamilyfoundation.org. I have a lot of resources throughout the whole country, and I can help you get connected for yourself or a loved